Hello and welcome to Super Rugby Round 9 preview, brought to you by DrivingMaul. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, and just joining me in the absolute nick of time is Pillar. How are you doing, sir?
I'm well, Paul. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. Oh, dear me. Literally, as I started my intro, he joined in and he's kind of like, oh, I can't say hello. It's already going. So yes, the show is already on the road. Yes.
That was very close.
So yes, I am Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, a website, a YouTube channel, Twitter account, and something else. I forgot what it was now. One of those things. Anyway, bringing you the best in Super Rugby predictions and opinion. And with me, obviously, it's Villa from Grit Sports, the best place for your stories behind the scenes of players, particularly out of the Joburg region. So we have another exciting round of rugby to preview, and we kick off on Friday night, New Zealand time, and Friday in the early hours your time. A quick game over breakfast for yourself.
Well, it's a good game coming up. Hurricanes versus Chiefs. I mean, the two sides have a good running streak in the past 3 to 4 weeks. They've won all their games, both sides. Hurricanes just pipping the Sharks on Friday. But I think also, I mean, with injuries or Bowden Barrett not participating against the Sharks last week was also quite a huge factor, and TJ Perenara also not being able to finish the game. On the Chiefs side,
let's drill down to who we've got there. So Bowden Barrett is back for this game, which is good. But TJ Perenara is missing, so Jamie Booth gets to start in this game. But
for me, TJ Perenara is actually a big loss for the Hurricanes. You could see the difference from their game against the Sharks as well. I mean, it was difficult for them to actually get good go forward ball. They were quite stagnant, and I don't think Booth is as sharp as TJ Perenara or same caliber 9. So there's no like for like, for example. But at least now they've got Bowden Barrett who can get the backs going. So at least Booth has that seniority next to him or experience next to him. So I think it's a positive sign for the Hurricanes to have Bowden Barrett back.
It's massive sign to have him back. We also, they're still missing Artie Surveyor, so Sam Henwood will continue at 7, and also Julian Surveyor now has dropped out, so Vince also moves to the wing as Matt Proctor returns from injury. So to me, losing Julian Surveyor is not such a big loss, and Sam Hayward had a good game last weekend. It's going to be interesting to see whether he can back that up yet again against Sam Cane.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Cane has been phenomenal so far. He's led the Chiefs side as a co-captain, of course, but he's led that forward pack quite well with the experience of Brodie Retallick also. You can see when the All Black players within these franchises, when they put up their hands, I mean, that was a solid effort from the Chiefs to actually get a penalty try in the last few minutes of the game against the Blues. It was a difficult game, to be honest, for the Chiefs. They were tested, but I mean, they came up tops with that experience shown of your Sam Canes and your Brodie Retallick up in the forwards, and Liam Messam also part of that crew. So this weekend will be a good test for both Hurricanes and Chiefs, but Hurricanes more especially with their depth. They're missing a few players, so to see how they stand up against New Zealand opposition.
Absolutely, but the Chiefs again, they've already had a lot of injuries, but it looks like Tyler Arden is bracketed and may not make it. He's had some very good games recently. The Canadian lock playing alongside Brodie Retallick has looked good, and also Dane McKenzie again is doubtful for the game, with his brother Marty perhaps replacing him. And that's the real big loss, is if Damien's not there and it's Marty instead, then I really don't give the Chiefs much of a chance.
Yeah, no. Damien is important. Is a very important player at first five for the Chiefs. Marty McKenzie, I don't think we've seen much of him, but he's also not the same caliber player. To his brother. So Damien will be a big loss if he doesn't start this weekend on Friday, tomorrow. So Marty McKenzie, I don't know how much football he's actually played this season. So that'll be a downside for the Chiefs. But these guys, when they're given opportunities, they tend to grab them with both hands. So it's his opportunity for him, Marty McKenzie, that is, to show what he's capable of.
It is. He's the older of the two brothers. He's got 11 caps now in Super Rugby, and he's someone that I thought was going to be the starting 10 at the Crusaders post-Rugby World Cup, but obviously Richard Mo'unga's pushed him out of that slot, and he didn't step up and take it there. And I think, now he is very much going to be a backup fly half at Super Rugby level. Is not going to be a starter. So that will be the big step down. With that in mind, I've gone for the Hurricanes by 7. What's your prediction for this weekend?
Oof. Hurricanes by 7. Well, I looked at the amount of games these two sides have played. The last 2, I think the Chiefs have won. 2017 in March, 18-26 to the Chiefs in Waikato, and then the last game was 14-17 in Wellington to the Chiefs again. So I want to say Chiefs, but the Hurricanes at home with Bowden Barrett kind of makes it difficult. Okay, let's go with Hurricanes for this one. They're playing at home. Bowden Barrett is back, so let's go with Hurricanes by 3.
By 3. So you're expecting a close one. That's the only game on Friday night. Then we move over to Tokyo on Sunday afternoon for the Sunwolves versus the Blues. Now everyone will remember
your favorite team.
My favorite team, exactly. I've got my Blues, and then under here, my Blues jersey as well. So there you go, Blues and Blues. Blues on the podcast, just showing off my clothes for because you can always join us on YouTube every Thursday at 8 p.m. New Zealand time. So for those of you listening on the podcast, if you want to watch what happens behind the scenes, that's where you do it. So yes, the Blues lost to the Sunwolves obviously last year at the end of the season, but that they had been on the beach for a week already. They were on holiday. It wasn't a serious game. I'm not expecting the same things this time.
But they lost by 48 points to 21. That's a big score.
Oh, thank you.
But knowing, looking at the Blues, how they've performed this season, for me, I don't think it takes much for one to even think of the Sunwolves winning this game. So the Blues need to, the same performance they had against the Chiefs last week, we need the same performance for them to actually beat the Sunwolves. But if they don't produce that kind of performance this weekend, then I don't think they stand a chance in Tokyo. So for me, yes, I'll go with the Blues because of experience, because of the player quality they've got. But it's a really tough gamble with the Blues. Every weekend it's a real tough gamble because you don't know which side is going to come out.
Well, so far this season, the losing side on the whole. We have, unfortunately to say, these two teams together have managed to add up 1 victory all season. So at least we're going to double that this weekend, unless it's a draw.
It's a battle of number 14 and 15, basically, on the table.
Absolutely, it's the two worst, results-wise at least. Anyway, the two worst teams in the competition. I do like seeing that Michael Little's still there, and they do have exciting backs, in particular, do the Sunwolves. It also looks like a much more settled team now. Brits and has come back onto the bench, but he's not been starting. So I think we're getting towards what Jamie Joseph considers his first team to be on the pitch, which is good to see at last, because that's what there've been a lot of chopping and changing coming up to this point in the season. So you'd hope that by now he would know who his team was. So from that point of view, from Sunwolves, it's good to see that we know and that they've got to that kind of stage. The other problem for them, I think this is maybe their last or second to last home game in Tokyo. There are other home games from now on in Hong Kong and Singapore that won each of those two places. So you've got to say this is one of their last chances to pick up a win this season. So I think they're going to go all guns blazing in this one. And the Blues are going to have to be at their best for this game.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think even the Sunwolves would have targeted this game. Basically when you're a team that is like the Sunwolves, there are certain games that you probably target throughout the season. And I think the Blues game is probably one of those games. Their performance against the Lions in Joburg was pretty impressive. Against the Waratahs last week, they weren't so great, but they did score some tries. They're a team that's capable of scoring tries. So this weekend will be no different. But, just for the Blues, for me, the Blues must just bring the performance they did against the Chiefs last week, and they won't have any trouble against the Sunwolves.
I am backing the Blues by 10, but we do see a reshuffle backline again. George Moala is out injured, so Rico Ioane is at 12. And we have Ledger at 13 and Highland at 14. So definitely inexperienced players out in midfield there.
And I see Rico's gone to 12, eh?
Yep. So Rico's at 12.
Yeah.
He'll get his hands on the ball a lot, but he's not going to get much space, which we like.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Unfortunately.
So for you, who would you rather prefer at first five, Bryn Gatland or Stephen Perofeta?
I'd rather see Stephen. I prefer Perofeta, but I think he's a better player. I think from a bench option, he's a better bench option than Gatland. Gatland's more a steadying hand. Perofeta's someone who's much more exciting. So whilst I think Stephen Perofeta is a better player, and I want to start him, I don't see Gatland as being a bench player, which is the only problem. So
because I don't see what value he adds from the bench from my take. Because it depends on the Sunwolves. If their line speed if they come up very quickly on defense, then Perofeta is no use starting this game. But that'll all depend on Saturday, I guess. But I also don't see Blues losing, but I see a close game. For me, Blues by 3.
Blues by 3. Oh, 2 very close games to open the weekend with then.
Yeah.
We then head down to Melbourne for an afternoon game against the Jaguares. So they'll enjoy that down there. It'll be done in sunshine rather than under the headlights. And it's good to see Dame Hewlett Betty back from after his bad head knock against the Brumbies a few weeks ago.
Yeah, no, these concussions are
the Waratahs a few weeks ago, not Brumbies.
Yeah. But these concussions are a very serious thing. So guys need to take caution and precaution. Basically, some of these concussions are based on the tackling technique, most of the time. But you can't avoid you can avoid ruck entry. But some players seem to just dive in there with head first and bumping against the opposition. But maybe we should just take some time out and training or teaching players how to enter a ruck, how to use their arms and not just use the shoulders, because this is becoming a very dangerous and serious situation with the concussions. I'm trying to do a couple of stats on how many players actually miss out in a season of Super Rugby due to concussion tests or concussion breaks, rather.
Oh wow! I'll be interested in seeing those stats when you come up with them. Looking at the Rebels, they've got Jeff Parling in there, obviously the England veteran. Ross Hewlett-Petty's also back, and most of the game changers that the Rebels have. So Maffey and Will Genyo both starting. Debrasini, who I'm not a great fan of, but he is their first choice fly half. Corabetti, Meeks, English, Maddox. Yeah, it's pretty much a first choice back line for the Rebels. They shouldn't have at home. They've got to, and being one of the leaders in the competition, you've got to say they've got to start off as favourites at home.
Yeah, no, definitely. David Wessels has pretty much stuck to his guns with the same side pretty much every single week. Not a lot of changes. So I mean, and Adam Coleman is very good in the leadership of that team, leading them from the front. The most two valuable players in that Rebels team, Mafi and Guinea, for me. These two players they link well with each other through open play from set piece, and Mafi is actually linking up well with the backline, some of the backline players as well. So they've got a very good setup, the Rebels. That's why, I mean, they're even leading the Australian Conference. So for me, I don't see them getting any trouble from the Jaguares this weekend.
And the Jaguares have switched their team around. Austin Creedy, for example, will be coming off the bench. Colette also on the bench. Two players who have been starting and playing well. That means Boffelli has moved to fullback rather than the wing. And I think he had a good game the other weekend against the Crusaders, wasn't it? So, I mean, they're still starting. Landagio, I mean, who's obviously was playing at the Brumbies, so he'll be comfortable playing in Australian conditions with Sanchez partnering there. But a bit of a changed up team. This is not a full strength or normal first choice Jaguares team.
But yeah, no, it isn't their full strength side. But I mean, even their full strength side doesn't produce the goods. But I would like to see them do more of this. Maybe change every second week. Give other guys a run. I mean, we've been watching the same players play for Jaguares and Argentina for the past 2 to 3 seasons, basically. And I don't see a lot of improvement, but all I see is the same thing over and over and over and over again. So for me, I would like to see them do more, give more players a chance, get them the exposure of Super Rugby, get them the exposure of international rugby. And from there, maybe they might build a foundation of a group of 40 plus players that have experience in Super Rugby and international rugby. And then that gives them a base of being able to change teams for every weekend, because Super Rugby is quite demanding. You can't go 15 to 16 weeks of playing the same players all the time.
No, you can't. So they did have to rotate at some point, and it's good. It's good to see them starting to do that. I think they're going to need a good start and stay on the right side of the ref to have any chance in this one. But I still can't see them beating the Rebels, and I've got the Rebels by 7.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Rebels by 7, but it'll be interesting. We'll be watching the set piece scrums especially. And
actually, the Jaguares have improved their scrum this year, which has been good to see. But so with Creevy off, we'll have to see how that starts. Whether with different personnel, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, true.
We then come back to New Zealand for the Highlanders versus the Brumbies down in Dunedin inside the glass cage. So. Rage in the cage. No, sorry. Oh dear, very poor. So the Highlanders have named their side, and we've got kind of the normal, usual guys there. Aaron Smith, Sapuanga is back. Naholo's playing. Smith. The back line is pretty much first choice with Fadders coming off the bench.
Yeah.
And then and also the pack looks they've rotated a little bit. I mean, Dixon. Both Dixons actually going to start on the bench rather than actually on the pitch this time. So they've done a little bit of rotation as well. But otherwise, it looks a fairly first choice side from the Highlanders.
Yeah, no, Aaron Major has stuck with the same side. Yeah. The Highlanders for me are, I don't know, maybe inconsistent at times. But I don't expect them to have any trouble beating the Brumbies at home. I mean, if you look at their stats from the past, from 2013, the Brumbies have actually. 2013 was the last time the Brumbies actually beat. 2015 rather was the last time the Brumbies beat the Highlanders. So from 16, 17, the Highlanders have actually won those games. So I don't see them having any trouble this weekend, even though the Brumbies come off a big win last week against the Reds. But I don't see them troubling this strong Highlanders lineup.
Yeah, the Brumbies haven't named their side yet, but obviously we expect Pocock to be back. We expect, and he did He was a big influence for them last weekend. They got their line-out maul going. So you've got to say that set piece is going to be big for them, and also discipline is going to be big for the Highlanders. Basically, don't give the Brumbies opportunities for line-out mauls inside your N22, and you cut down a lot of their options straight away. So discipline is going to be important for the Highlanders, and set piece is going to be important for the Brumbies. As we've always seen, the Highlanders will kick contestable kicks to create the bit broken play. All your standard kind of stuff. It should be an exciting game from that point of view, and I just can't see that the Brumbies have got the firepower to hold them out.
Yeah, no, definitely. For me, the Highlanders they like to feed off scraps. So if the Brumbies make mistakes, they'll capitalize on that because they've got very fast and quick backline players. So in the forwards, I don't think they should keep it. They should play in the close quarters, because then if you play too much in the close quarters with sticking with the forwards, then you're putting a guy like Pocock into the game, because he's going to slow down your ball at ruck time, or he's going to steal your ball, or he's going to get a penalty basically. So try and keep it as far away. Try and keep the ball as far away from Pocock. Don't include him in the game. Keep him out of the game basically. And Highlanders, as we know, from the base, players like Aaron Smith like to kick box kicks. So in that context, then they will be challenging the back three of the Brumbies.
Absolutely, and I don't think they're going to hold up to it. So hence I've gone for the Highlanders by 15. I think this is a home try bonus point in this one for them.
15. Wow. Jeez. I'll go with 8 points.
Highlanders by. So far we've got all the same teams. We've just had different margins.
Yeah.
We then head over to Sydney, and maybe this will be the first one where we have a disagreement, but I think we probably won't. Waratahs versus the Reds. The Waratahs seem to have clicked and have got themselves a decent run of form, even with Folau out and the whole circus that's going on around him at the moment with his off-field issues. So far it looks like they've managed to keep that away from their on the pitch performances, and they're going to need to keep it that way, because even I don't know if you've seen, but Curtis Rona has now decided to tweet out in support, or do an Instagram out in support of Folau, and you think, guys, just shut up and let it blow over, please, because you're not going to do yourself or the team any favors.
I mean, it's unnecessary for other players to start butting into the situation. The Waratahs and Australian Rugby Union need to handle the situation, and their sponsors, of course. I mean, for me, I feel like it's unnecessary for such things to be uttered into public platforms, and especially for players who are world-renowned like Israel Folau. I mean, as the world, is making transitions into accepting a lot of things. A lot of people are still not accepting other people, regardless of what they choose to be. I mean, for me, it's just unnecessary. It's just unnecessary. You should just stay out of it. You should stay out of it. And people's choices, their own choices, and and we should accept that is their choice, and people live and let live. But let's not head too far down that rabbit hole. But they have been playing well. Foley, not Folau. Geez, got F on the brain. Foley's been running the team well with Gordon. Naiavoro has been showing he's great with ball in hand. Newsom a little less so, and I think we'll probably see the Reds try and kick through and turn those two wingers, because there is definitely something to be gained in doing that. Apart from that, I think the Reds are going to keep them tight. But for me, what was interesting in this fixture was that Waratahs and Reds 2016, Waratahs won 15-13. Waratahs Reds 2017, Waratahs won 29-26. So I look at these teams and I'm like, okay, the score margin is very close. So I'm expecting this game this weekend to be as close as well. I think though Brad Thorne and his Reds would want to improve on last week's result, because I mean, to catch 40 points, almost all those points scored in the second half is not a good sign of how your team performs in the last quarters of the game. So they'll want to improve on that.
Absolutely. I mean, last week was a disaster for them. They had all the running in the first half, didn't take advantage and get the points. And they need to take when they've got the upper hand, they need to make sure they're putting points on the board.
Yeah.
And when they're under the cosh, they need to defend better.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, which is what they did with the first game they played. The first game they played against the Brumbies, but then now this past weekend was a different story. So they'll need to look at that for the Waratahs game. Waratahs have hit good form, so it'll be interesting to see how their back three. For me, the Waratahs need to be tested more. I don't think anyone is testing those guys' aerial skills, turning them around. If your fly-off kicks behind them, so they need to be. I think they need to be tested more. Yes, we know how good they are with ball in hand, but we just need to see more of them being tested on their aerial skills.
Absolutely, totally agree with that on that one. And we've got to remember that this is a new Red side with some really young players like James Tuttle, who, let's be honest, has come from playing the NRC to this level and has been doing very well, and a few other players like that who've come through, and young players. So they will have their ups and downs. Hopefully they've learned from last weekend, but I still think they'll find this one a step too far. I think they'll be better at home than away. And I'm backing the Waratahs by 5 in this one.
Oof. We'll see. I'll go Reds on this one, because I would love to see the Ruan Smith boy on his run-on debut. He's a brother of JP Smith as well. I mean, Ruan Smith, JP Smith. Yeah. In the front row, because the Waratahs, I don't think they're very strong in their forward pack. But let's see how the Reds do, man. I'll go with Reds on this one, and I'll say Reds by 3.
So yeah, a closest one, definitely. And you're right though. The scrum time is definitely, and also the line out is definitely a place where the Reds could target this Waratahs side. The Waratahs side are much more about the sort of broken field play. And then the final game of the round is the Sharks versus the Bulls in Kings Park, Durban. So yes, that's Kings Park for the Sharks, not for the Kings. Always confuses me. Now, we haven't had these teams named. They'll probably be named in the next sort of 3.5, 4 hours time. But so we don't have the names yet. I've not heard of any particular injury news, but obviously the Sharks will be travelling back from being on tour, so they may want to rest some players. They might have some tired players flying home there.
Do you think they would actually risk that and rest some players? I think Dupree Senior will actually go guns blazing for this game. I don't think he would want to lose at home against the Bulls. But I mean, looking at an interesting stat is that the Sharks have played the Bulls 26 times, and the Sharks have only managed to win 9 games. So yeah, so the Sharks have a tall. The Sharks have a big problem when it comes to the stats against the Bulls. So they would want to win this game, more especially coming after a 1-point loss against the Hurricanes last week. But there has been improvement with the Sharks, to be honest. The past 2 to 3 weeks, they've shown some great improvement especially in their forwards. Their ball carrying. They're going over the advantage line. They're offloading into tackles. Amazing. Finally, a South African team with forwards that can actually pass the ball. But I was very impressed with the way they actually combined and linked well with their backs and forwards, and how they dominated the scrums, how they contested line out, how they contested for the ball at ruck time as well. So there has been improvement with the Sharks. Hopefully this weekend they wouldn't want to change too much and just continue with that effort going into the Bulls game.
Absolutely. As long as the players aren't too fatigued, that's what you'd want to do. They had a poor start. They had a poor start to their tour in Australia. Let's be honest, and poor start to their season as a whole. To be fair, and it's been those last 2 weeks beating the Blues, getting in with the point of the Hurricanes, where they've really switched it on, turned around, and you think, yep, they've clicked. Finally, what Dupria is trying to do. Clearly, the players have got the right idea now, and it's all sort of working. Obviously, Dupria at 10, it's his first season with the Sharks running the show, because Bosch was there last season, and obviously he's now playing 15. So you've had a new guy running the show, so it's not a surprise it's taken a bit of a while for them to click. Now they have clicked. They are looking impressive. Brett makes an interesting point, saying that the Sharks don't like playing at home, which is the opposite to what all the other teams are like, which is a bit strange, but there we go. No,
he's correct. He's correct, actually, because I mean, if you look at the Sharks' history, I mean, when they tour, they're one of the best touring sides in South Africa. So they do quite well overseas, more than they do at home. So, but yeah, man, I mean, I'll be happy for the Sharks to actually improve on their experiences in the past 4 weeks, to improve on home soil and actually get a win, not to win against the Sunwolves. I mean, we all know they will always going to win against the Sunwolves, but to win against proper opposition. But the Bulls, on the other hand, we can't take them too lightly. We can seriously not take them too lightly.
We can't, but they don't. They're a team that do not like to leave home. Obviously the Brovurst or whatever it is, or the just doesn't taste the same when it's not at altitude. So they. The Bulls have had a problem travelling. They're one of the worst touring sides around, and they haven't played well away from home this season either. So
carry on.
And it's a question of, are we going to see the side that beat the Hurricanes the first game out, or the side that's not? Because we've not really seen their front five rampaging through and offloading like we did in that first game much since then.
Yeah.
But that was wonderful.
Yeah, it seems like they've actually gone more tighter since the Hurricanes game, and obviously touring. Then they started looking at keeping the ball closer to their forward pack. But for me, I think John Mitchell has introduced a different culture for the Blue Bulls. So I don't think they will struggle that much traveling to Durban from Pretoria. So for me, the Bulls do stand a chance. Yes, we did mention the fatigue factor for the Sharks coming back, but I still believe they need to play this game strategically for them in order and see how they manage those players to last a full 80, or how they substitute in the last quarter. So the Blue Bulls will be fresh. They've been at home. They've just come out of a win, beating the Stormers at home. So they'll be more confident coming into this game. I'm sure the Sharks would be gutted at losing by 1 point. Obviously, those things play a psychological effect coming into this game. So to me, Sharks need to use the resources right. They need to be very tactical about how they use their substitutions. The Bulls basically just need to keep doing what they're doing. So it'll be a very interesting, tight game. But what's your call?
My call is going to be the Sharks by 5. One of the things we've said is it seems when they're coming back off tour, should be given that week off as a break. And yet, when we've actually looked at some of those teams who've come back, the Hurricanes came back from tour, and they beat the Crusaders.
True.
I think came back from. Chiefs been on tour yet? No, they haven't been on tour. Chiefs haven't been on tour yet. But we've seen a number of teams come back off tour. The Waratahs came back off tour and won. So there does seem to be this galvanizing effect of, you come back off tour, you win your game, then you have a week off, and that's what the Sharks have got. They know they've got a week off next week. It's just one more game before they get a rest, and so I'm back in the Sharks by 5.
Whoa. Whoa. For me, I'm a big JM fan, so I'll stick with the Bulls on this one. Bulls by 5.
Oh, so there you go, folks. We agreed on the first 4 games, but we disagreed on the last 2. We'll have to agree to disagree, and we'll see who comes out on top next week after the weekend.
I want these results next week.
Okay, so all right. We'll have Billa back next week, and we will go through. The first thing we'll do on the show next week, on next Thursday, is we'll run through these results and how each of us did. Normally, I do the review show earlier in the week, but we'll do a little bit of a review as part of the preview show as well. So, let everyone know where they can find your fantastic rugby content.
Yeah, you can go to www.gritsports.co.za, or you can check out our YouTube channel, Grit Sports TV. You can check us on Facebook. We've got a Facebook page, Grit Sports. Just give you the branding there. There we go. If it's not green and gold, it's not Grit Sports.
Great branding for the YouTube channel. For those listening to the podcast, we just saw the lovely Grit Gold logo. One of these days, I'll actually fork out some cash to get myself a logo. I think I have the blue bucket hat would be mine. And anyway, I've been Paul, the guy behind Driving Maul. Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel down below, or click on my face. That'll be there on the recording. The latest video is up there. If you're listening to your podcasting app, obviously give it a subscribe in your podcasting app. And very finally, please do remember, if you have any friends that you think might enjoy this, tell them about the show. They'll love it. Enjoy whatever rugby.
Tell the whole world.
Oh, sorry.
Tell the whole world.
Tell the whole world. Yes, exactly. We are a global show. We have people from South Africa, from New Zealand, Australia. It's a global program of programming choice. And say this quietly, but I may be getting an American podcast and a British podcast also to live stream on the channel as well. So you may even get some more coverage from around the world. Anyway, enjoy whatever rugby you're watching.